Hi, I'm Tamara and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, I'm going to talk to you about borderline personality disorder and why I think most of us have borderline personality tendencies when it comes to relationships. Why? Because there's that attachment component that is the central focus in borderline personality disorder, and it's also the central focus in relationships. So I think there are some correlations there that maybe if we can figure out one, it can help us to at least figure out some things about the other. So first off, I have great compassion for people who have borderline personality disorder. Why? Because nobody asks for that disorder, nobody deserves that disorder, nobody earns that disorder. It is a direct link to genetics, to environmental factors, to the parenting style that you received. There are many different implications. The main one, I think, is bonding and attachment with a child's parental figure between the ages of 0 to 3 years old. That's when that critical time period is. By the same token, compassion is different from setting boundaries because borderlines have very thick defense mechanisms that they're using to cope to get through life every day, which can be a huge struggle and very, very tough. But at the same time, people who don't have the disorder, we have defense mechanisms that we use to cope too, but they're not as thick and layered as BDP has. So we have to put some things into place to protect ourselves, set boundaries. Doesn't mean that you can't be friends with somebody with borderline personality disorder. I also think there are different levels. I think that there are high functioning personality disorders that we need to give more focus and attention to, because I think those people have developed some very sophisticated ways of coping with life that lower functioning ones haven't. Why do I think that we all have the tendencies? When you are in a relationship, there is an attachment component. Why does there have to be an attachment component? If there wasn't, how can you connect with a stranger, someone you've never met, you don't know, and the attachment can happen pretty quickly? Without that attachment piece, then there would be no people on earth. So it's very important that we have that. Same thing with people with borderline personality disorder. The reason why they struggle so much is because there was a break in the bonding with that parental figure. And just like ducks, like if a human being takes over, those ducks are gonna follow that human being. They're gonna start trying to imprint that person. Birds don't learn to sing their songs if for some reason there is a break in the bonding with their mother and they don't make that connection. They're not going to sing their song. They're not going to learn it. They're not going to know how to do it. And people take for granted that kids that are 3 years and younger, that, oh, they don't know anything, they won't remember anything, but yet your brain, critical parts of your brain are wiring around those experiences that you have. So if they're terrible, traumatic, abusive, abandoning, your brain is wiring around that. So people with borderline personality disorders are going through a very deep, hard struggle in their lives daily because of that one area that they didn't bond correctly or enough with a central figure, parent figure. What's interesting to me is there's got to be something that's similar in the attachment issue, the chemicals and hormones that are released in someone with borderline personality as there are when we connect and attach with someone that we're in a relationship with. For example, haven't you ever acted crazy in a relationship, like totally out of character? If you haven't, Good for you, lucky you. Maybe you've had smooth sailing, but you're still very attached to that person. If anything happened to that person or they go away for a long period of time because of a job, you feel internal pain. You feel a deep sadness. You feel this longing, this hurt, this ache for that person. And that's similar to what a borderline feels, but they may be feeling it with people other than their mate, because borderlines are trying to make that initial attachment occur because it never did. So they are always looking for that person that's going to save them from that chronic emptiness. They have an intense fear of abandonment that is just the core of who they are. It feels very scary. It feels very terrifying. Object permanence, connecting with someone, it teaches us that the world is safe. But if you never got that, you're living your life in a very scary, empty way. It also impacts the personality, though they have identity issues. They don't know who they are. It's like looking in the mirror and not recognizing anything because that disconnect happened. They are looking to bond and attach for someone to save them, and then they go into deep acting out behavior. So the very thing that they want so badly, they push it away because they start doing acting out behaviors. They can go into rages where they're screaming, yelling, acting out, just totally upset, triggered by, it could be a small thing, triggered because they think this person is going to leave them. Well, how do you act when you're in a love relationship with someone? Now, borderlines may be trying to attach to friends, to neighbors, co-workers. They're looking everywhere for that attachment, but we sort of do the same thing when it comes to love. Some of us can be more extreme than others, but you still feel that. So let's say someone breaks up with you that you are so deeply, madly in love with. How are you gonna feel? You're gonna go into that deep, dark depression, just like borderlines go into a depressed state. But it can be hard to function. It can be debilitating. You can't eat, you can't sleep, you can't think. It's hard to work, it's hard to focus. You feel just sick, you feel this emptiness. You need to connect with somebody. And so many times people go on the rebound. Some people say the best cure for a breakup is to jump into another relationship. Why do people jump into a relationship again? Because they don't want to feel that chronic sense of emptiness, that longing. It's like once you open that door, it is very difficult to close it. It's like you spend the rest of your life wanting to have that one person that you mate with, that you connect with. And without it, it can be terrifying, scary. It could send you into panic. It can cause you deep anxiety, depression. A lot of times we try to treat people who are going through breakups like, what is wrong with you? You should snap out of that. Don't let him treat you that way. You are crazy. Why are you acting so dumb? Or we try to hide how we act because society forces us to act a certain way. You're not supposed to act that way or feel that way. If you want to know a component of what borderline personality type feels like, think relationships and attachment, because there's a very strong similarity to that. Rages and anger, slamming doors, and who do you think you are? It might be the wrong person because you're just trying to save yourself from that deep emptiness and that scary, awful, terrible feeling. So it's like once you find the right person, it's like, I feel so much better. Borderline, same thing. You know, it's like they might have a temporary sense of a high or, oh, I feel better because I've connected with someone. People say that Britney Spears has borderline personality disorder. I completely 100% disagree with that. I just don't agree. And when I look at footage of people who say she has that and the reasons why, I see someone who feels a little shy but wants to show you that, hey, there's more to my personality, so they're trying to act a little silly. She might be the 4 on the Enneagram, so we're going to jump in and out of different sides, even though we might feel shy. We want to show you that, hey, look at me. But I really think she had bonding and attachments at an early age. Now, I think her mom might have pushed her. I think she was kind of one of those compliant children that I want to please you. I want to be a perfectionist in certain areas. I want to make you proud. I want to make you happy. And so you can push those kids probably past their breaking point and they will still go along with it. Just like gymnasts and Olympians, they have the temperament that you can push them really hard and they're gonna really rise to the occasion. I see with Britney Spears, Justin Timberlake, that is when we saw a break in her personality. What happened? She went totally out of character. She shaved her hair off. She started acting out. You see her with a baseball bat acting crazy, but who has never acted crazy in a relationship? It might be because maybe you were lucky enough to find the right person, but I guarantee you if something happens to that person or you get into an argument with that person, you feel some of that detachment that feels horrible. So I think Britney Spears acting out is that attachment due to a break in an attachment when it comes to a romantic relationship that can make anybody act out, lose it for a while. Not only that, but she had a lot of pressures. Imagine the whole world is looking at you, watching you when you are feeling at your worst. And a breakup or relationship issues can feel extremely painful. A couple of people who I do think are borderline personality disorders are Marilyn Monroe. Roseanne Barr said she has borderline personality disorder. I think Octomom, and that's why she had this insatiable need to keep having kids, to try to fulfill that bottomless pit of empty, to cure it. Of course, that's not gonna solve it, but that's why she did it. And what's interesting is she studied psychology and she felt like her own mother had borderline personality disorder. So there may have been a genetic component. With borderline personality disorders, they find someone to attach to fill that emptiness, to bond with them, to attach, to make up for that bonding that didn't happen in childhood. And first it's a relief, it feels so good, but then they start becoming very needy, very clingy, demanding. You know, you're going to meet my needs, you're gonna do what I need you to do because I feel terrible. I'm gonna act out. In a relationship, you can start to feel needy, clingy. You may not do that in any other areas of your life, but when it comes to romantic relationships, people can exhibit those same traits. That's just one of my viewpoints that I find very intriguing, kind of a different way of looking at borderline personalities. And again, I hope that we can find a cure so that people with this disorder don't have to continue to struggle the way that they do. But I think when someone has borderline personality disorder, they have to work extremely hard to heal from it, to be cured from it. And the reason why people tend to push borderlines away is because everybody has problems. It doesn't matter whether you're borderline or not. We all have struggles, and if someone needs us to save them, well, who's going to save me? Sometimes we have to go through pain to heal the pain. So you might start with trying to understand feelings. Feelings can be extremely elusive to someone with borderline personality disorder. They may not understand exactly what's the difference between happiness and anger. So that might be a place to start. But you're going to have to really break down some walls to do the type of healing that you need to do in order to feel better. And I think the same thing for people going through relationships. It is a learning process. Some of it is painful, but we have to learn how to handle things in a more mature way. We also have to set boundaries on what is acceptable and what is not. So hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you so much for watching. Please give me a thumbs up and subscribe below so you can check out more of my videos. Bye!